Sue Bird in New York for the final time. I'll give you my observations. You'll hear from Sue. Everything that she experienced, you'll experience. Locked On Women's Basketball starts now.
You are Locked On Women's Basketball, your daily podcast on women's basketball. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Well, hi there and happy Monday. Welcome to another week of Locked On Women's Basketball. I'm your host, Howard Megdal, reminding you can listen to us every day just like this. We thank you for making us your first listen. Make sure you subscribe. Let people know. You can get us on YouTube. You can get us everywhere podcasts are found. The price, free. Pretty good. We'll be with you every weekday this week. As always, make sure you're also following all the work that we are doing covering women's basketball at thenexthoops.com. Again, support what we're doing. $9 a month, $72 a year for over 100 reported pieces every single month from an incredible staff. And you can join the staff, by the way, for a live watch party tomorrow night, June 21st, over at Playback. Make sure you go to getplayback.com/room/thenext. Sign up. Our Playback watch party tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Join us. We're going to be watching, of course, Dallas versus Atlanta. A lot to talk about from those two teams. It was an emotional afternoon for everyone. Sunday at Barclays Center. Sue Bird, greatest point guard in the history of this sport, probably going to be the greatest point guard in the history of this sport for as long as I'm covering. She played her final game in New York, the Syosset, New York native, in front of friends and family, in front of a loud crowd that typically is pro-Liberty, but definitely was pro-Sue as well. Enjoyed what was start to finish a remarkable game, 81-72. Seattle ends up winning. A lot to get into, and we will. We'll talk to Jackie Powell. We'll be talking to Adler. But let's not make this about Storm versus Liberty on this day. It was about Sue being honored. Sue, of course, announced her retirement. We talked to Jacqueline LeBlanc about it on the show on Friday. If you want to go back, you can hear Jacqueline was in the room where Sue first answered questions about it. Well, I'm going to take you inside the room itself. Adler and I walked on down with a handful of other excellent reporters to hear what Sue had to say. So here, without further ado, Sue Bird, in her own words, from an afternoon in New York. You're listening to Locked On Women's Basketball.
All right, we are ready to begin with Sue. We'll open it up with questions from our Zoom to start. We'll bounce back and forth between the two, but Percy Allen, can you kick us off? Percy, go ahead.
Got it. Hey, Sue, I'm just wondering, if you could describe, I guess, the feelings and emotions that you're feeling just being in that arena, and then to walk off that court with a win and to score your final basket there, all of it.
Yeah. It's no Kobe Bryant dropping 60, but it feels pretty good. I think I would have, to be honest, it wasn't about the game. It wasn't about how I played. It was just really about soaking it all in, enjoying the moment, knowing there are people here that, like I've said to everybody already, but knowing that there are people here that have been so instrumental in my journey to get to where I'm sitting right now. It was really about that, and then of course, once the ball gets tipped, you play to win. I would have taken the win, even if I had 0.0 assists, 10 turnovers, I would have been thrilled. It wouldn't have mattered. The fact that, I hit that last shot is almost, it just can put a smile on, I know on my face, and I think it could put a smile on everybody's face knowing I hit my last shot here in New York. So it's, to be honest, like I said, I joked about Kobe Bryant. Yeah. A fairy tale ending would have been 30 points and 20 assists, but this felt pretty much like a fairy tale. So I'm going to take it.
That is so cool. Hey, I'm going to imagine that you're going to go through this about at least 9 more times. Just did this give you a sense of kind of what the rest of the season is going to be like?
A little bit. I don't think anything will be like it was today. Just given that I'm from here, given that I know so many people in the stands who are so close to me. So this is always going to be a little different, or always was going to be a little bit different. But yeah, I guess it is a taste of what's to come. I keep joking. I'm like, I don't really know what I signed up for. So we're all just going to be winging it up here. But I do want to give a special thank you to the New York Liberty. They were amazing just in, helping me secure tickets, helping my family, feel important today, the way I feel important today. And they were just great all around. Obviously the video they played was extremely touching. Shout out to Rashonda Gray. She saw that I was getting choked up a little bit when Megan popped up there and she caught me. She's like, no crying, not today. So, but yeah, the New York Liberty is obviously a first-class organization. So I'm just really thankful for that.
Awesome. So thank you.
No problem.
Thanks, Percy. Jeff Brown, and then we'll go to take some in the room.
Yeah, just obviously Gabby had a phenomenal performance in this game, was a huge, scoring for you guys. Just talk about her performance and what she can do out there.
Yeah, I mean, I think, for Gabby, for Bree, for Tell, for Rashonda, I mean, these are still players that are getting, used to being here and getting used to our systems and getting comfortable. And I think for Gabby, I mean, we actually talked about this yesterday. The two of us had breakfast, and she has a really unique skill set, right? And that skill set is special. There's a lot of special skills within that, but you have to be on a team that's going to allow her to shine in those ways. And you have to be in a system that is going to allow her to shine in those ways. And I think this was a step in that direction. I think for the first part of the season, it's been trying to figure out, how can we get Gabby going? Where can we exploit mismatches with Gabby? And today she basically told on herself, she showed us what she's able to do. And that's the kind of, beyond that, that's the kind of energy that we're going to need from her in order to have a chance at a championship. She's a really important piece of the puzzle. So this was a great step in that direction. I don't think it's any surprise that a lot of teams in this league who had new rosters are taking a second to get used to things, right? The New York Liberty is actually a great example. I'm sure a lot of people wrote them off early because they lost some games. It takes a second when you have new players, and we're no different, even though we have championship pedigree. So again, Gabby showed a lot today, and I hope we can just continue to build on that.
Let's go in the room. Do you want to start?
So you mentioned that Rashonda kind of kept you there at the end.
Yeah.
I mean, how do you do that? How do you keep the emotion out of it before the game? When they do this video, they present you with the jacket.
Yeah.
Present sure meant a lot. You saw New York teams. Like,
Yeah.
how do you do that? And then, okay, I get to play a game now.
You just do. I mean, I think it's just years of compartmentalizing, right? Like that's kind of what big games are, pushing aside personal things. I've joked, I've like broken up with people the days before games. It's like your lives don't stop, right? Just because you're athletes, your lives don't stop. There's deaths in families. There's other moments where you have to compartmentalize. And this has been, I guess I've been practicing for this my whole career, just being able to push emotion aside and focus. But to be honest, once the ball gets tipped, I mean, there's just no noise. There's no literal noise. And then there's none of that other noise. Like I don't even hear, as an athlete, not just me, I think all of us, you don't even hear the music. I had my nieces were like, their minds were blown. You don't hear the music? I was like, no, I don't hear it. Because you're just so in the game. So it's not that difficult, but obviously when a video is being played, it took someone to make me laugh to hold it in.
And just follow up, you mentioned the noise. I mean, you hit the 3, you go out of the game after the timeout. I'm guessing you heard that noise.
I did. That I heard. Well, I looked up, I saw my face on the Jumbotron. I was like, oh. Yeah, no, that was special. I mean, even for New York, to the Liberty to do that, I really couldn't have written this any better. It's been a really fun day, and it's only 2:00. So I have a lot more fun coming.
Locked On Women's Basketball is brought to you by BetOnline. BetOnline.net is your number one source for all your betting needs and sports info. Find all the latest developments, league reviews, and news, including this year's WNBA slate and, of course, Major League Baseball. BetOnline is your continued source for all your sports wagering information, including live betting, esports, and more. BetOnline.net is the fastest and easiest way to check in on your favorite sports and events, including boxing and golf, and across the women's sports landscape. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends in action. Bet online, where the game starts.
Howard, go ahead.
So you talked about how much, various people were meant to you in this period of time. What is the significance of how much you and Megan have meant to so many people? And have you felt that more in the last few days? Have you guys discussed sort of how you handle that, at this point in both of your careers as icons as much as players?
Right. Yeah. I think what's been really cool about the last couple of days is the different people that have come up to me and shared a story, showed me a picture of when, something we took probably like 10, 15 years ago, on social media, having people kind of share those types of sentiments. That's been really cool. It's kind of a chance for everyone to, I guess, what's funny is that, like, the fans have given us as athletes so much through the years. They support us, they cheer for us, they, buy tickets, buy our jerseys. They're always there. And so these interactions, they're giving us even more, but, it means so much to hear these personal stories, right? To actually come in contact with people like that. So it's been a fun 48 hour, however many days it's been. Actually, it's been fun.
And just to follow up, is there a favorite story you've heard over this period?
Favorite story.
I know it's hard to choose.
I'll think. Yeah, I don't know. Nothing. Yeah.
No, Howard
Oh.
asked the question. I was gonna.
Gotcha. Go ahead, Christine.
Over the span of your career, would you say your most fondest memory of playing against the Liberty?
I mean, this one will go down for sure. Usually the game's not all about you, so this is unique. The ones that come to mind, I hit a game winner at the Garden one year, like basically at the buzzer, a couple seconds left. I don't remember what record I broke, but I think I broke a record at the Garden one year, maybe like most threes, or not most threes. I don't have that one obviously, but something. Or maybe it wasn't a record. I hit maybe like 1,000 threes, something like that. You guys look that up. So I've actually had like some pretty special moments. I've also stunk it up at the Garden. So there's that. But most of my memories are surrounded by like what I'm going to do after the game.
Just a follow-up, being from New York, what would you say separates you?
Yeah. Well, it's kind of funny. It's like talking about being from New York. Obviously I'm from Syosset, so I'm not quite, on the streets and the parks. That's not really my story. But the one thing I'll say is, I think mental toughness is something that we all have. Even though I didn't grow up, in Queens, I played on my AU team there, starting in like 5th grade. Obviously I went to Christ the King, and I think just being around that culture, that New York City basketball culture, we're all really mentally tough.
Your mom talked about taking you to the Garden as a kid.
Yep.
She used the phrase that she was basically your chaperone.
Yeah.
Just what was it like for you to go to games with her? What memories do you have, and is there a game moment that kind of sticks out in your mind from those experiences?
Oh yeah. I mean, I saw Michael Jordan when he was it was either his rookie or his second year. I have to go back in the archives to get that from my dad. And I remember him warming up and there was like a buzz. But at the time, my favorite player was Kenny Skywalker. So I was just I would stare at him, watch him warm up. But to me, going to the Garden, that always represented professional sports, right? That was synonymous for me. So we grew up Knicks fans, went to games when we could. And then the Liberty come to town. And I remember going even, I definitely went the first year, but even when I was in college, summers where if I was in New York, I'd make sure I checked out a game. And then of course, once UConn players started graduating, I was always going to the Liberty games to watch when their teams came to town. So just so many memories are, so many professional basketball memories are intertwined with, with the Garden, with the Knicks, with the Liberty. Obviously now they're in Brooklyn. I don't know how I feel about that. Couldn't they be called the Brooklyn Liberty so we can keep it open to have a New York Liberty? No, I'm joking. They're doing an amazing job here. That's not shade at all.
Let me take a couple more from the Zoom.
I'm like,
real
just what
quick.
happens if the Knicks won a team? What are they called? Do you guys know? Dilemma. This is a dilemma. This is a big dilemma.
Let's go to Christos. Christos, go ahead.
Hey, Sue, hope you're doing well. The previous game was in Connecticut. Today you played in New York. From emotional standpoint, how special were the last days for you?
Yeah, really special. In some ways, I was kind of bummed that my last game in New York was going to happen so early. It feels early in the season still. I guess it's not that early, but it was going to be one of the first places that I was going to play for the last time, right? That's now done for me in Dallas, and now New York was second. So there was a small part of me that was a little bummed that that's how the schedule worked out. But at the same time, I actually don't think it could have been any better, given that I was able to now announce while I was in Connecticut, share that with the fans there, but also some friends and family that were able to come, and then turn around and come down here and do the same thing. So it's been a whirlwind. I mean, I've definitely shed a lot of tears. Some are sad, some are happy, everything in between. But it's been so enjoyable, so enjoyable. And I mean, I wasn't going to announce. I mean, can you believe it? Now I'm like, that would have been crazy not to. This has been amazing. But I'm
And
like, ask me
also-
at the end of the year though, right? I'm going to be like
And also, do
overdosed.
you believe that the league is in good hands about the future of this league? About Sabrina, the Sun has a great team. Do you feel that this league is in good hands about the future?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the talent is incredible. And I said this earlier, but I'm really looking forward to being a fan. I fully expect myself to be a Seattle and New York resident. I fully expect that I'll have season tickets to both games, both teams. And I'm looking forward to watching a Sabrina grow, right? I mean, even though she's in her third year, she had a rough start with injuries. So she's really just getting going. So what is that going to look like? Another favorite of mine is Enrique. Now she's at that point where it's like, ooh, is she going to turn the corner and take this Dallas team through the playoffs? And I think it's even more fun for me as a fan because I've lived it. I've obviously played in all these in this league for so long, and I've played in all the tough games. So I know what it takes. So it's going to be fun to watch all these players kind of evolve before our eyes. I'm really looking forward to it.
You're going to be a good analyst too. Thank you very much.
Let's go to Landon. Buford, go ahead, Landon.
Hey, Sue, I got two quick ones for you. You have an upcoming coaching duties in the Champions of Change event coming up on the 26th. Can you talk about that? Just being one of the legends to, grace that event. And then the next one is Steph just joined you with championships for winning the championship. Can you talk about that as well?
Sure. Yeah, I'm very excited for that game in Seattle. For those that don't know, they're doing like a celebrity game in Seattle. And even though we're sitting here talking about how I'm from New York and all the good things and all the connections that I have here, Seattle's also my home. And I feel like I've grown up there as well. And I feel very much a part of that basketball culture as well. So it's really exciting look at those names, you know what I'm saying? It's like all the greats, all the OGs from Sean Kemp to Gary Payton, and then you got Jamal and it's just everybody. So Jamal told me once that I'm in that group. I'm like, even though I wasn't born in Seattle, like I'm a Seattleite in that way. So it's going to be really fun to be there with everybody. And the Warriors. I mean, what's to say? They're so much fun to watch. I think if you hate on the Warriors, you're just a hater. There's really they're so much fun to watch. The way they play, I would love to play with Draymond. I would love to play in that style. I actually texted Coach Kerr to say congrats. We became friendly at the Olympics, and I'm so happy for Clay. I mean, what an amazing story. And then you look at, what's not to love about what they did and what they've accomplished. And of course, Steph, just kind of silencing people, which was ridiculous to begin with, in my opinion. So just a huge congrats to them on their fourth ring. They're knocking on that dynasty door, and I hope they keep doing it.
Go back in the room for a couple more and we're gonna wrap up. Go ahead.
So, congrats on everything. In your post to announce, you talked about playing this last year, like the little girl played her first year.
Yeah, took a while to come up with that too. Thanks.
When you think about the journey that you've had, has it even touched your wildest dreams as a youngster?
No, funny enough, someone the other day asked me like, oh, what were you ranked coming out of high school? And the truth is I don't remember the number, but I know it wasn't like in the top 5. I don't even think it was in the top 10. It might have been in the top 15. It definitely was a top 20, but it wasn't that high, you know? And I think what I'm really proud of in terms of my basketball legacy is, yeah, I can score a little at times. Yeah, I'm a good passer, obviously. What I do, I think it takes people a second to realize they have to like really understand the game to see my impact. And that impact is great. And I think people, when they do realize it and they do see it, it shows you something else in basketball that little kids can aspire to be, right? You don't have to be the biggest, the tallest. I always joke, I'm like, I'm fast. I'm not the fastest. Definitely not now. I'm pretty quick. I'm not the quickest, right? I'm not jumping over people. I had to find another way. And so that to me is like my story. That's a part of my basketball legacy. So, you know, back to the high school ranking, I don't think anybody would have picked me to be the one sitting here now with all the accolades in, you know, coming out of high school and going into college. It would have been all the other names that were in there. And there were times early in my career where I would think about some of the names I played against and I'd be like, wait a minute, I'm the one still doing it. Like I'm the one on the Olympic team. I'm the one, you know? So I even probably surpassed some of my own goals in that way. But it's been amazing. It's been challenging. And I've said it before, I have no regrets.
Christine, go ahead.
Post basketball plans.
Yeah.
I know you have to share a media company and also coaching. So.
I don't have like specific plans. There's definitely some stuff that has already been brewing that you know about, whether it is together. I would love to get more involved in that. Because we already have like a lot of exciting stuff on the horizon. So just any chance to use a platform, elevate. Obviously, I'm always going to be a little bit like bent towards the WNBA. I mean, there's no surprise there, and women's basketball, but to elevate all female athletes, elevate their voices. I look forward to that. You know, we actually have a Love Is drop coming out soon. So it's really exciting in that little world, I guess. I mean, this is clothing, getting involved in that, but it's really the message behind it. We have a chance to, with Love Is, that's really exciting to, you know, everybody loves to celebrate Pride when it's Pride Month. And a lot of times it's a lot of sad stories being told when you talk about the LGBTQ plus community and the trials and tribulations they have to go through. And what we want to do with Love Is obviously highlight those, but also celebrate the joy aspect, right? Like the great things we all get to live and feel. So that's really exciting. That's coming out. It's called Revolutionary Joy. I'm going to be doing Peyton's Places this coming year. I'm going to be highlighting a lot of basketball places. So that's exciting. That's all I can think of off the top of my head, but there's more brewing. So yeah, hopefully I'll stay busy because I know I'm going to miss this. So I better stay busy.
Okay, we'll do one more in here, one more Zoom. Go ahead.
Sue, what's up?
Okay.
First time being back together since like the bowl. So,
Yeah.
Hope you've been doing well.
Thanks.
Can you just recap, you know, how it felt to one, play in New York, but also play in front of all your family, friends, and, you know, almost turn this away crowd into a home crowd?
Yeah. It was really special. It was really special right from warmups. You know, I mentioned this before, the New York Liberty got my family and some of the little ones in my life to come in early so they could watch the teams warm up. So right away, I got to see some familiar faces. And like you said, once I looked in the crowd, there were tons of Seattle jerseys. I saw tons of posters. So of course, thank you to all those fans. And they were definitely cheering for us. And it was just special. The recap is just, it was a special, special day. And to cap it off with a win, you know, normally I'm not big on scoring, but that 3-pointer at the end, I will remember that forever. My teammates were making fun of me that I held my follow through. It was really just because it was bouncing around. It was bouncing around and I knew it needed it. So I really can't say anything else other than it was a special day. And I want to thank everybody who helped make it special.
All right. The last one from Jeff Brown on Zoom, then we'll wrap up.
Yeah, so prior to the 5-game road trip, Coach Quinn said that, you know, the goal was obviously to be successful would be to win. You guys go 4-1 on the road trip. Just talk about that overall performance.
Yeah, I mean, we're obviously thrilled. 4-1 on a road trip is never easy. And, you know, I think what we're all going to take away from it is that, you know, we have that in us. We have the ability to win games, you know, when they're tight at the end. And I think the other thing we could take away from it is the team we lost to. I mean, they're, you know, in a lot of ways, I know Connecticut's kind of been like, you know, always the bridesmaid, never the bride type of a vibe, but they've really set a standard on what it is to be consistent in this league year after year. And they've got chemistry and you know, sometimes you might look at them and you can't understand, not that you can't understand it. Obviously you understand how they win, but it's not necessarily flashy stuff. They just do their jobs, they play well together, and they get it done. So I think losing to a team like that is really is going to be good for us down the road, because we're going to learn a lot about ourselves going against that type of team, because like I said, they really have set a standard on consistency.
All right,
Awesome.
thank
Thank
you,
you.
everybody.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Thank you for making Locked On Women's Basketball your first listen every day. But this just in, there is now a league for men to play basketball too, professionally. It's called the NBA, and the first picks of the Ultimate NBA Mock Draft have been made. Search now for Ultimate NBA Mock Draft and get over 50 insiders, the Odyssey sports experts, the draft experts of Locked On NBA Big Board. The 5-episode Ultimate NBA Mock Draft is underway. Make Ultimate NBA Mock Draft your second listen today. I'm Howard Megdal. Thank you for listening to Locked On Women's Basketball. We'll be back with you tomorrow and every weekday. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you follow the work we're doing on the writing side at thenexthoops.com. Have yourself a wonderful Monday.
You are Locked On Women's Basketball, your daily podcast on women's basketball. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.